Welcome to My Hometown, the program that explores clubs, organizations, businesses, and issues across Nassau and Suffolk counties and sheds light on the different towns that are making a difference.
Hello and welcome to My Hometown. I'm Bill Horan, along with my co-host, Nassau Community College student Matt Leonard, coming to you live via Zoom and being socially distant as recommended.
Bill, a lot of people have been struggling during the pandemic when it comes to their financial situation. Many have lost their jobs and are worried about losing their homes, too. Unfortunately,
Matt, that's true. But one organization, along with Nassau County, has come together to help Nassau County renters that are behind on rent due to COVID-19.
Our first guest today is Kevin Crean, the Director of Community Development for Nassau County. Thanks for being here, Kevin.
Pleasure. Thanks.
Also with us today, we're proud to welcome Gwen O'Shea, the President and CEO of CDCLI, the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Gwen, welcome to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.
Thanks. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Gwen, let's start off and ask you, CDCLI, tell us what what your organization is all about.
Sure. So CDCLI, Community Development Corporation of Long Island, is a nonprofit entity that has been serving Nassau and Suffolk counties, and most recently Brooklyn and Queens as well, for over 52 years. And we are focused on all things home. Our mission is really to ensure that every Long Islander has access to a sustainable home and the financial supports and resources they need to maintain that.
You've spoken about assisting and supporting renters on Long Island. What about homeowners? Can you help them?
So, you guys opened with a welcome to both Nassau County and CDCLI, and we're really proud and privileged to be able to work with the county. And the county has done a great job in rolling out this rental arrears program very early on, recognizing how many renters were struggling in Nassau County because, we are one of the highest, most expensive regions to live in. And when individuals lost their wages and their income, it made their housing stability or instability even greater. As well, the county has now rolled out a new program for homeowners to provide some financial support, which is amazing. But we know that many of our residents are still struggling. And so we do support and are here and available online, by phone, having Zoom meetings to talk with individuals that may have financial needs that are greater than some of the programs that are available right now. So for example, seniors that may need to be talking about reverse mortgages, or individuals that, may have really fallen behind on their mortgage maybe before the pandemic. And now things have gotten worse and are potentially faced with the issue of, foreclosure. Families, individuals, homeowners, they should feel comfortable to call us. Again, we've been around for over 52 years. We're a trusted community partner, and our goal is to help people maintain safe housing.
Gwen, a lot of people, of course, during the pandemic have been stuck at home with job uncertainty. There's repairs that are needed, things they've either put off or could not get vendors to come because of safety reasons and restrictions. What can you tell us about how your organization is helping people with that? They're addressing these issues and, the day-to-day things that our moms and dads and ourselves are facing.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I think we all can point to, wow, we've had a lot of time to be home and look at a new crack in our wall or a leak in, with the window. Many of us are able to address those issues on our own because we're either physically able to do it or have the financial means. But we know for a lot of families, again, seniors, individuals that may be dealing with financial struggles, have lost income, they have serious health and safety issues at their home, or accessibility challenges or improvements that are necessary. And we as an organization are here in a very socially distanced, responsible way to help individuals address those issues, whether it's doing an accessibility repair for someone that may have a disability at a home, or someone that needs to take out a loan to do bigger repairs to really address health and safety issues. We're here to serve homeowners, again, in Nassau and Suffolk counties, and really most focus on those that don't have access to the financial resources to make those improvements that are critical for their overall health and safety.
Now, when you say to help the people, do you mean literally hands-on filling out a form for either another organization or a bank, or do you direct them to a trusted partner or someone you feel comfortable with, or advise them that maybe it's not a good time to do? I'm just looking for the person who actually comes to you, because this is so intimidating to most people.
No, it's a really good question, and thank you for asking it in such a understandable way on behalf of residents. So individuals can call us to find out about different resources that are available, and we provide many of those resources. So for example, we do weatherization and energy efficiency at a home. for someone that may be purchasing a new home that is going to need some repairs, again, to address the health and safety. We can come and take a look at the property and do a scope of work to help the potential homeowner understand what the costs and the needs are going to be. We can work with them to identify a contractor. We can provide general management support until those improvements are done. We can also lend to those individuals because we are a community development financial institution. And we really look, because we are mission focused, to fill in the gap for working families, struggling families that may be either priced out of the market, may have had challenges with their credit. And so they're not able to get a loan or support from a traditional financial institution. Our team available, to speak to individuals in a variety of languages to help them walk through the paperwork, whether it's online or send them a copy or even do it with them at their home. Because ideally, as I, sort of opened with, our goal is to help every Long Islander have and obtain and maintain safe housing. And so we're here and ready to answer any questions. There's no silly question. Everything is confidential. We're a trusted community partner. So we strongly encourage individuals, whether it's for themselves or, as you mentioned, for their parents or a neighbor, to please reach out, because we know the impact of COVID has been extraordinary on our communities.
And some of those things that you mentioned, I'm really excited to hear that for the people of Nassau, because it's really intimidating. And sometimes we feel overwhelmed, not only the pandemic, not only the work-related problems and maybe loss of income, but now the house needs something. How long can we put that off? And I'm not an expert in construction. I don't know where to start. I'm not an expert in finances, but your organization is. So we do have a friend that we can go to. And of course, we can find out from you. Now, is there any charge for this, or is this something that you put us on the right road?
No, for a number of the programs that we mentioned, we're lucky to partner, as we mentioned, with the county on the rent arrears program. We partner with the state on a variety of different programs, the down payment assistance, the repairs, weatherization, access to home. Those programs, if individuals qualify from an income perspective, there is not cost. Obviously, if someone's borrowing from us, from our community development finance institution, that is a loan that has to be paid back, and we look to ensure that we're creating a loan agreement that makes sense for someone financially, because we want them to be successful and not have additional financial challenges. And I want to really underscore your point about the difficulty in navigating all of these programs and the pressure that we're all feeling as we're coming out of COVID, and turn it back to the rent arrears program to really strongly encourage people that may feel like, I don't know which way to turn. I don't know if these resources are really realistic and real. They are, and that's why we're so happy and proud to work with the county to start to chip away at what we know is really serious financial implications from COVID. And it's not the be all and end all, but it's a starting point. And it not only helps people address their financial concerns, but really their overall physical health and wellness, right? Because we all know that when we're dealing with financial challenges, it stresses us out to a really, really high level.
And that's when I appreciate your answer. And that's, as you said, a starting point. I find that's my big problem. I have to get started on something. And if we can come to your organization, get some help, get some direction, then it's starting to roll downhill a little bit. It's a little easier for us. So that's great to know. And I think it's given a lot of relief to a lot of our listeners to hear that you can do that. You can help us and get us on the right track.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Matt Leonard. I'm along with Bill Horan, and today we are talking about an organization that is working with Nassau County to help renters that are behind on rent due to COVID-19. Our guests are Mr. Kevin Crean, the Director of Community Development for Nassau County, along with Gwen O'Shea, the President and CEO of CDCLI, the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Now, we know this pandemic obviously has had horrible impacts on a lot of people. Many people have lost loved ones, and I can't even state all the horrible effects it's had. But are there any potential silver linings for housing because of the pandemic?
That's a really good question. I think one of the downsides that we've seen during COVID and now as we're making our way out of it, and it kind of had started beforehand, was the decrease in commercial and retail space that is necessary within communities. And now that we have seen a lot of businesses really move to more of an online sort of centric service provision and delivery model, there's an opportunity for us to look at those commercial spaces that are no longer being used for retail. Can they be repurposed to create new housing opportunities, whether it be rental, home ownership from a condo perspective, a mix of both of those. But we know, and it was very clear prior to the pandemic, that we have a housing crisis in Nassau County and across Long Island. And so with those properties, already being existing properties, let's think smartly about how we repurpose. And we know that Long Islanders are in need of housing and want housing. And it's not solely single family properties that our millennials, even our seniors that are downsizing, are looking for. And so there's really an opportunity for us as a collective community to look at how do we repurpose that space in a way that makes sense for us from an economic and an overall community perspective.
Gwen, I find that answer very interesting because very often I'm passing empty stores and saying, why don't they turn those into, I know it's not as simple as that, the zoning, et cetera, but wouldn't that be a good location? Or 80% of a shopping center is vacant, et cetera. And it might be the movement of the future. Maybe it's sharing space with stores and homeowners, or maybe it becomes all homeowners, et cetera, et cetera. But it's interesting that you just brought that up and it's a possibility for the future. How can some of our individuals, myself, Matt, people who are listening to this show, become and help and become involved with these opportunities, or perhaps silver linings, as we say?
You brought up a good point about zoning, which sort of speaks to the challenges that we have here, in Nassau County and on Long Island with a lot of home rule, a lot of different layers of government, that these developments need to go through different, zoning procedures and planning board approvals and permitting procedures. The more that we can streamline that, and the more that we can be out and talk about that, right? Because unfortunately, sometimes it's naysayers that have the loudest voice, because those of us that are supporting something think, oh, well, intuitively it's going to happen, right? But that's not necessarily what happens if we don't get out and either vote for the elected officials that are really trying to make progress as we think about our housing needs, or speak to our different zoning, planning, community groups to share our perspective that we know that looking at and creating diversified housing options is what we need as a region to thrive economically, in particular as we move out of this pandemic. And so it behooves all of us, to stay on top of as we think about, again, who we want to support in elections, using our voice to talk about how this could be a win-win, for all of us. And
I love those win-win examples because so we all want to be on both sides. And if it can be a win for the county, win for us, and win for our neighbors, we don't want to see people losing their houses or being homeless or, just some of the negativities that come into play when situations like this happen.
Let me step in there too, Bill, if I may.
Kevin, I'm sorry.
I think Gwen's point about the different housing choices is right, spot on. And that's something that the county has been focusing on over the last several years, particularly in our downtowns and our transit-oriented areas. Many people on Long Island are very familiar with the renaissance that's happened in Patchogue and in Farmingdale and Mineola. But there are many other communities that are in different phases of that revitalization and that rezoning process. Westbury, for instance, Hicksville, Mineola. In Suffolk County, you have Ronkonkoma, Smithtown, Riverhead, that have all seen different variations of this. And as for you asked how people can get involved, that's exactly the point. People need to come and get involved because the zoning process, the rezoning, and the reimagining of what communities can look like has to start at the grassroots level. So we need the people to come out and participate. Often, and this is particularly vital for your listeners, we hear a lot about the millennials leaving Long Island, that they can't afford the housing on Long Island. Yes, it's true. They can't afford to buy that single family house, at least not at their young stage of their life. But that may be something they aspire to later on. What we want them to be able to do is to find a place they can rent, maybe a condo, maybe some shared living arrangement where they can have a roommate. Those housing options are few and far between on many places on Long Island. But if we can make those rental units available in the condos and the co-ops in the downtowns, maybe where more density is appropriate, that provides housing options, not only for the young people who we want to stay here, and hopefully they'll remain and purchase that home down the road, but for the seniors who want to stay and downsize. They have an opportunity where they were looking for another type of housing option. So that's something that we're promoting, we're pushing, and we're working with our communities. Our office, the Office of Community Development, we operate as a municipal consortium. So we invite the towns, the cities, and the villages in Nassau County to participate. That's how we receive our funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we share that money with those municipalities. So we're always meeting with them and discussing those options. And many of the communities I mentioned are taking the lead. The pandemic has, I think, shown a light on that there are more retail establishments, there's commercial space that's underutilized and will unfortunately continue to be so. So it's a way for communities to look at that space and see how can we repurpose it.
No, thank you for bringing that up. I think those are great points. And it's always exciting if it's tough to have a difficult time or an adverse situation in any of our lives. But if we can all come out of it for the better, and if this leads to something better for all of us, that would be wonderful. We obviously have good people like yourself and Gwen doing this and to work with. So I don't think a lot of people are even aware of this, of your organization, that it exists, that it's out there to help people. And hopefully today we'll make them aware of it. And now that
we need those young voices at these public hearings, the meetings. So often you hear the naysayers come out. I don't want this project in my backyard. I don't want to see more density. I don't want to see rental housing. But what we don't hear is the people who are looking for that type of housing. So the college students, the people who are just entering the workforce on the professional side, to say that, I want to find a place to live. I want to move out of my parents' basement. I want to find my own place, but I can't afford it. These are the housing options we're trying to make available. So we need supporters to come out and state their case at these hearings.
Well, you're talking to the right person when you're saying the college students. Matt is the representative of them at Nassau Community. So, Matt?
Bill, I wish I could speak for all the students in Nassau Community. I wish I had that much influence, but I think you're absolutely right, Kevin. We as a young person, I see it firsthand. We do need young people to come out and speak and all levels of government, whether it's local or anything, just because they're the future of this country, this county, Long Island, everything. But moving over to my next question, there's a lot of chatter around the increased sale prices of homes on Long Island, and my mom's a real estate agent, and all I hear around the house is inventory is low, which obviously means there's not a lot of houses going up for sale. How do young adults and working families even compete in a market like that?
Well, Gwen mentioned homeowner assistance. We do have, the county does administer a first-time homebuyer down payment assistance program where we assist potential applicants with up to $25,000 in down payment assistance. Unfortunately, the program is administered by the Long Island Housing Partnership. We're seeing that people are having a hard time finding houses they can afford. The program is, because the funding is federal, the funding is from HUD, it's income-based. So where it's income-based, the people who are earning 80% of area median income and lower oftentimes cannot find a house in their price range. But there are co-ops, there are condos available. There are more of a housing stock at the lower end in Suffolk County. CDCLI also runs a program, and I'll let Gwen speak about her issues. But developing more affordable housing and making it available is important as well. And CDC is involved with us on that side as well.
Now, we're talking about owning houses and that, but I understand there's a program with the county and the CDCLI is working on to give renters up to 3 months of rental payments if they qualify. Can you expound on that and tell our audience a little more about that program?
Yes, that is funding that the county received under a special allocation of a grant we administer, the Community Development Block Grant. This was COVID funding under the CARES Act, and CDCLI applied to administer that program and assist us with that, and I'll let Gwen discuss the specifics.
Thanks, Kevin. And it's first and foremost, I want to say it's a great program, and we appreciate the opportunity to highlight it today and make sure that your audience is aware of the availability of these funds that can be accessed as soon as today. If individuals, are able to provide the information related to their income being at or about 80% of the area median income, which just to give, I know that's sort of wonky talk, but that's about $71,000 for a household of one. So if you have been unable to pay your rent because of a COVID issue, you lost hours, you lost wages, you were sick, these resources are available to be paid directly, rather quickly to your landlord to help address some of the financial constraints and issues you may be dealing with related to COVID.
You are listening to My Hometown on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Matt Leonard along with Bill Horan, and today we are talking about an organization that is working with Nassau County to help renters that are behind on rent due to COVID-19. Our guests today are Mr. Kevin Crean, the Director of Community Development for Nassau County, and Gwen O'Shea, the President and CEO of CDCLI, the Community Development Corporation of Long Island.
Governor Cuomo talks about not just wanting to reopen New York, but reimagine it. And I love that word because it opens us up to almost like little kids. Anything you want to imagine you can do, and maybe some new programs. So, Kevin, can you talk about how that would apply to Nassau County and what we can look forward to?
Well, one of the programs that we administer in the Office of Community Development is the Community Development Block Grant Program. That's federal funding, and that is something that's a program that's very flexible. Can be used for any number of activities. Generally, it's focused on low, moderate income populations, but there are certain areas of the county, Mineola, for example, Westbury, Farmingdale, areas you wouldn't think of as being lower income that qualify for this funding. It's all census tract based, so we can assist communities with street and sidewalk improvements, pedestrian access, a lot of downtown revitalization that we're focused on right now as we come out of the pandemic. Those downtowns, the restaurants, the small retail establishments were really hit hard because of the shutdowns. We're trying to reopen them. We have a restaurant recovery program that we've funded with COVID funding as well. Grants to restaurants that have sit-down restaurants that were impacted by the capacity restrictions on the programs. So we're trying to again bring these downtowns back. And as we started to say earlier, some of the downtowns may have a overabundance of commercial space, may have too much office space or retail space. That can now be converted to different types of uses, including housing. A lot of areas are reconsidering now going back to the way it was in the last century, housing above storefronts. Some communities like Mineola, Farmingdale, have accepted some additional density in the downtowns with the idea that this is housing that might be more accessible to both the young people and the old people who are looking to downsize to small units. It's focused by the train stations is something County Executive Laura Curran has been emphasizing, the transit-oriented development. As people have less need for cars if they're near transit or near a bus line, then parking restrictions can be lifted as well, maybe eased up. So Farmingdale has had a lot of housing built in its downtown, as has Mineola. In Suffolk County, you have that in Patchogue and Riverhead and other places. It also brings feet on the street. These are potential shoppers for your downtowns. People are going to patronize the restaurants. People are going to shop at the boutiques. So that's a mix of uses in a downtown. I think that's the new wave. It's really a throwback to the way downtowns developed in the first place. But getting people back into the downtowns and keeping our suburban quality of life as well. Those single-family homes aren't going away anytime soon. But it does give some housing options. It gives people some choice and allows them to, maybe not get in the car to go for that cup of coffee. They can just take a walk down the street.
I like that. That sounds good.
Sure. And I also encourage, the use of block grant monies can be used to help with cycling as well. That's something that our Office of Planning is doing in conjunction with the Institute for, the Trust for Public Land, trying to make a greenway, a bikeway across Long Island, centering along the old Vanderbilt Motor Parkway Trail, if you're familiar with that. But making these connections that people can get from one place to another with cycling, with bicycling.
Kevin,
the Bay is actually looking at that for downtown Hicksville.
I'm probably infringing on a little of Matt's time, but I hope he doesn't mind. But something I always learn from, is there one or two programs that you say, gee, this is such a great program, but nobody seems to know about it, or they're not taking advantage of it, and you'd like to get the word out there that could help Long Islanders, and maybe this is a great opportunity to get it out to them?
Well, the home program, we have funding again received from HUD each year to help with the development of affordable housing. And that can be housing units within a larger development, can be housing, single-family housing. We don't get enough applications for that program. What we are trying to do is to let communities know that if they're accepting some more density in the downtown, and again, this is all local decision-making. The county does not impose any zoning requirements on the localities. That's up to each municipality to decide on their own. But if they decide they're going to allow some more density in their downtowns or otherwise, that the home funds can come in as a subsidy to help reduce the price of developing that housing and maybe make it more affordable. So if a 20 or 30 unit development might be on the planning stages, we can assist and make 4 or 5, maybe 10% of the units affordable to low, moderate income people at a lower rent, at income levels that allow more housing choice. And that going along with that, if we focus on the downtowns, again, more of these transit hubs, that person renting that unit may not need a car, or maybe they need one car instead of two. So there's less of a strain on their monthly budget. They've got car loan and so on.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. So, Matt?
I got a really important question now to anyone that's listening to us. And I'll start by saying I am fully vaccinated. Bill, I believe you told me you're fully vaccinated?
Yes, I am.
All right. So me and Bill are fully vaccinated. What would you say to someone that is still on the fence when it comes to getting one of the available COVID vaccines right now?
Well, that is something that we're pushing as well on the other side. With Long Island Coalition for the Homeless is right now trying to do some outreach to the street homeless and just people in general to try and promote that. We're working with our Department of Health to get the word out about the availability of vaccines. I was down at Jones Beach on Monday, got my second shot in the arm. My arm's still a little sore, but it's better today. This is going to open up the world for us again. I was texting with a friend of mine the other night. We're looking forward to getting back out to Citi Field to get to see a Met game. And we missed opening day this year because of the pandemic and the reductions in the seating capacity. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there in restaurants and so forth. We mentioned already the restaurant recovery program. Those restaurants now, the seating capacity is growing. But people have to still feel safe. And that goes for the schools as well. So hopefully these summer programs, the summer camps, and that's again, we fund a lot of summer programs for in different communities with the block grant program. Those programs weren't active last year, so some of that money is rolling forward to this year. So hopefully we can get more kids involved, get them outside, less screen time.
And Kevin, if someone wants to get in touch with your office, can you tell us where it's located, and is there a contact website or email? Absolutely.
We have a page on the Nassau County website, so that's nassaucountiny.gov. And then at the departments tab, you look for Office of Community Development. We have on our website a lot of information about our programs and some pictures of some projects we've funded over the years. We try and, impress upon local communities that some of these funding sources are very flexible. But communities use them for the same things year after year. But we try and spread the word about what different communities that were a little more creative have been able to do with them, the funding. You can also call us. We're at 516-572-0100. But the best place to reach us is through our website.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank our guest today, Kevin Crean, the Director of Community Development of Nassau County, along with Gwen O'Shea, the President and CEO of CDCLI. That's the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
I do want to point out before we go, the Community Development Corporation of Long Island has a link on their website to that rental assistance program that we mentioned earlier. So people can access that application and start their process right on their website.
Hopefully our people in Nassau County are going to keep you and Gwen busy after today. So no time for a long lunch this week.
We've got this funding and we want to help the communities who are the residents who are really hurting. So that's cdcli.org.
There we go. I'm Bill Horan. I'm here with Matt Leonard. We want to thank you for listening to this week's special edition of My Hometown.
We like to get your feedback on My Hometown. Send your comments to whpc@ncc.edu. Nassau Community College, where success starts and continues. Till next time, this is Bill St. James. And remember, there's no town like your hometown.